Hello and welcome to Karmikartanyam classes. In this session, we'll be solving yet another problem of projectile motion. So let us start the session. Now, let us read the question first. What does the question says? The question says, from the top of a tower. Okay, from the top of a tower. That means what? I have a tower, and from the top of a tower, what is happening from the top of a tower? The tower is how much? It is 80-meter high from the ground. The height of the tower is 80 meters from the ground. Okay. A stone is thrown in horizontal direction. So there is some gentleman. So he's throwing a stone. Now he's throwing a stone, and is throwing in which direction? Is throwing in horizontal direction. So this is important. You remember which direction? Horizontal direction. And what is the velocity? The velocity here, it is 8 meter per second. Velocity is 8 meter per second. With this velocity, the stone is being thrown by this gentleman from the top of a tower. Now the stone will reach the ground. Obviously it will reach. So it will have different position, right? It will be here for some time. Another time it will be here. Some other time it will be here. Some other time it will be here. So it will reach to some position on the ground. So this distance from the foot of the tower to the position where it has reached on the ground, it is termed as d. And the time that it has taken to follow this path, this particular path, is time t. And they have asked us to find out these terms d and this term t. We have to find out d and t. Now let us analyze here. When we're talking about velocity, here velocity is a horizontal vector. That means a vector in x direction. It is not making any angle with the horizontal. It is making an angle of 0 degree. Therefore, according to the resolution of vector ideology, the idea of resolving the vector I know, and because it is making an angle of theta that is equal to 0, I will not have any y component of initial velocity vector v naught. V naught y will be equal to 0, but v naught x will be equal to what? V naught, that will be equal to what? 8 meter per second. Okay, fine. Now what about the displacements? Displacements will be in x direction as well as in y direction, because it is a two-dimensional path. That direction is being changing in two dimensions, in y direction also, in x direction also. In y direction, the distance traveled by the stone in y direction is how much? Displacement is how much? Now what is displacement? We have to take care about, I told you in the previous video where I was explaining about the displacement part. What is displacement? In displacement, you have to see the initial position and final position. Initial position and final position, and the distance between that initial and final position. The initial position in x direction is this, the foot of the tower, that is here in x direction. I am talking about x direction. So the foot of the tower, the initial position is in x direction is the foot of the tower, that is here, and the final position is this in x direction. I am talking about in x direction. So what is the displacement now? Distance between them, it is d. It is d. And you have to see the look at the direction also. Which direction? Positive x direction. So it will be plus d. Positive x direction, it will be plus d. Now what about y direction displacement? The initial position was this in y direction. In y direction, the initial position is this. In initial position in y direction is this. Final position is this. That means what? The vertical distance. Initial position was this. And what is the final position? Here in y direction. So what is the sy then? It will nothing but 80, and the direction is in downward direction. Downward direction means negative. So sy will be what? Sy will be minus 80 meter. Sy will be minus 80 meter. Yes? Did you understand this concept? Why is v naught y 0? Why v naught x is v naught is equal to 8 meter per second? Why displacement in x direction is d? Why displacement y direction is minus 80 meter? Okay. Now, if we understood these terminologies, now we'll come to the solution. Now, I'll only use one formula, that is one formula of one kinematic equation, that is S is equal to ut plus half at square. Now allow me to apply this kinematic equation in y direction. In which direction? In y direction. So I'll rewrite the formula. How will I rewrite? Let displacement in y direction Sy is equal to initial velocity in y direction v naught y into time taken plus half, and what will be the acceleration? Acceleration will be acting in downward direction, that is acceleration due to gravity. Downward direction means minus g t square. Therefore, what is the Sy that we have got? Minus 80. What is v naught y? 0 into t plus half into what is g? They have told you to assume g as 10 meter per second. The exact value is 9.81, but they have given you that freedom to assume 10 meter per second to make the calculation easy. So 10 minus 10 into t square. Here this get cancelled out. We'll have minus 5. So it will be minus 80. 0 into 2 is 0. Therefore, I'll be left with only minus 5 t square. So minus minus get cancelled. T square will be equal to 80 by 5. That is nothing but 16. Now I'll get t is equal to under root of 16. T is equal to under root of 16 means what is under root of 16? 4. So t will be equal to 4 seconds. T will be equal to 4 seconds. Okay, I got the time. Now one thing I have to understand, when I'm throwing the ball, displacement in x direction, displacement in x direction, displacement in y direction, displacement in x direction and displacement in y direction are taking place at the same time t, are taking place at the same time t. So t for y direction, t for y direction and t for x direction will be same. That you have to understand. So let me allow me to apply this kinematic equation in x direction. Now I have found out t. I have to find out d now. For finding out d, that is distance between the final position of the stone on the ground and foot of the tower, I'll apply that formula in x direction. Kinematic equation is x direction. That is Sx is equal to v naught x t plus half at square, axt square. Acceleration in x direction. See, you have to understand here acceleration. You have to understand one thing here. The acceleration is only in y direction. Acceleration is only in y direction. The velocity is changing in y direction. That is minus g. But acceleration in x direction is 0. Acceleration is in x direction is 0. There is no acceleration. Therefore, velocity is constant in x direction. Velocity is constant in x direction. That you have to understand. So if I put the values here, what was Sx? Sx is d, positive d. V naught x is V naught 8 and t is 4 plus half ax is, I told you acceleration in x direction is 0 in projectile motion. See, projectile motion acceleration is in x direction is 0 into t square. This part becomes 0 and d will be equal to 8, 4 8 is 32 meter. So what we got? We got t as 4 seconds and d as 32 meter. This is the answer. So we have solved the numerical. Thank you. Please like and subscribe and do comment so that I'll get some feedback and accordingly I can improve. Thank you.